I was up a lot of the night last night with the baby. She didn't sleep really well. She must feel the difference of the weather, the change of the seasons. I still have the pool out. I'm holding on for dear life here for this summer. I refuse to get rid of my shorts. I'm wearing shorts today so I can get my jobs done. It's 10 degrees out right now. I'm having my coffee, enjoying the sunrise. Oh, gotta enjoy it if you're up watching it, don't you? Everyone is restless. I am rehoming one of my birds, my chickens, that turned out to be a roo. And while I'm waiting for a date to be able to come drop this off to a lady that I leave my roosters with, who doesn't eat them, who breeds them and lets them have beautiful lives. I'm waiting to see her. I've been waiting a couple weeks. She's been having some things going on too, and he is literally crowing in my living room presently as we speak. So that's been going on for a while. A couple weeks, in fact. It's been interesting every morning. But it is what it is. And we love him. I've raised him since he was a day old. And I'm very sad that he's a girl, but he's definitely a boy. Dadgummit. That happens when you don't buy a pullet or a definite roo, if you're looking for one, and they're not older. If you're getting day olds, many of the breeds of chickens are not auto-sexing. Auto-sexing means you can tell if they are a boy or a girl when they're a day old and they're born. Some breeds are, and the people that gave me those, that I went and got those from, were right. And then the rest of the birds, my good layers, I got them right from the hatchery, so I paid for them to be sexed before I got them, so I didn't have to worry about that. But the rest of them, you roll the dice and you hope for the best. I have had to rehome a few more roos than I would have liked. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, right? And they're having a lovely life, and they're all together. They know each other, and they can stick together. They kind of stick together like a gang, actually. It was kind of cool to have released them, because they don't free range with me. I just can't here in the suburbs, and with the predators. So when we released them, it was kind of a magical moment. Instead of all scattering all over the place and doing their own thing, they all stuck together, and that was pretty beautiful, for me anyway. It was heartwarming, because I was worried about them. They're city chickens. They weren't country chickens, but apparently they're doing very well, foraging and just being hardy, and that's good. In fact, the roos that I raised, she ended up keeping my roos and offloading a couple of hers, because she said mine were much better gentlemen. But see, I hand raised them and I cuddle them, and here's a bee right on my screen. Hand raised them and cuddled them, and treated them like my little kids. So what else? It's 10 degrees and I'm freezing. And I'm wearing a tank top and my shorts, because I've got to dive into things today. Today the greenhouse has to be cleaned out. It is getting to be too cold for my exotics to be outside. So I've got to take everything out, scrub it down. I have one place I need to repair the patch, the outside, where it is not very happy. If you remember, I had a huge 20-foot branch crash through the roof of my greenhouse in the middle of summer with some high winds and naughty storms. So here she is. But I fixed that on the roof already, and maybe you can see my patch job. I had to fix 3 layers of plastic. But that's okay. It's done. The side I see, this has been standing for, this will be the 3rd year. And I've had the same polyplastic on it this entire time, and the same tape. So, I mean, it's held up really well, all things considered, since I'm here in a Canadian winter. And it gets pretty brutal. This is a more sheltered spot, though. I think it's a really good spot, aside from the fact that my oak tree dropped a 20-foot limb in there. That was pretty dangerous. Otherwise, it's in a little nook that's protected by cedars in the back where the prevailing winds come, and a giant cedar and a poplar. So that's great. The oak tree has not lost any leaves yet. It will be a while before it loses leaves, and that's kind of my other issue too. I try and keep my tropicals outside for as long as possible so they can get sun. That oak tree casts tons of shade, and they need sun. So I'm going to have my little grow light on in there, and that's okay too. I still have hibiscus blooming. It's 10 degrees. Look at it. Got beautiful hibiscus. I have some fruit stuff here that has just popped. This is called a nipple fruit. Don't laugh. And here, I don't know if you can see it. It's a very prickly plant. Must have amazing fruit because it's so prickly. But there's a bloom. So we may just get fruit yet. I still have tomatoes. I still have peppers. I have lots of harvesting to do. But the cleanup has to start. The tropicals are the most important thing to protect at this point. Seeing as they're years of work. I've put many years into these tropicals. Last year I lost some. Some of them are not happy in the greenhouse, even though there's a heater. It's still cold in there. It's really, I can keep it probably 15 degrees warmer in the greenhouse than it is outside. So that makes me nervous on super cold nights. I also employ a system where I have a lot of water bottles in there. So the water kind of tempers things. It absorbs the heat from the sunlight during the day, and then it releases it at night, and that's the premise. But I mean, there's only so much you can do with bottles of water. It helps a little bit, I'm sure, and I make sure it's very hot water when I put it in there and take it outside. And then, of course, I use it to water during the winter while I'm out there, and then I just replace it with warm water again. Yeah, I can feel the fall in the air. I can smell it. It's crisp out here. But nothing a nice hot coffee doesn't kickstart you for the day. My girls are already out. I let them out before the sun came up today, and they were like, whoa, you're already out here. But I couldn't sleep. The dogs were restless. The chicken was crowing. And I was trying to keep the rest of the household sleeping. So once I get up, everyone calms down. They're really just looking for me. For food and to go outside and for comfort that I'm there, I guess. They've been alone all night long, right? So, that being said, I refuse to lose my shorts yet. Plus, I have to get wet today, scrubbing down that greenhouse on the inside. I want to scrub the poly to make sure that there's less residue and dust and algae or anything else that's growing on it, so it can get the maximum amount of sunshine throughout the winter, because the plants will need it. You never know how terrible a winter you're going to have, so you got to make sure that you're, ahead of the game and doing all you can. You can't control nature, but you can control what you have going on. And that's what I'm doing. Refuse to lose the shorts. It's cold. I really should have a sweatshirt. But if you haven't noticed yet, I am a stubborn girl. And winter is not my favorite thing. I got a lot of response about that. I guess I'm not the only one that doesn't like winter. A bunch of comments talking about how, yeah, the long, dreary winters. And come spring, you're just like, cabin fever is a real thing. If you don't live somewhere where it's cold and just a drawn-out winter through March and April and sometimes May, and you started possibly in October, it's just like, come on already. Good grief. So people do get depressed. It's a real thing. Cabin fever is a real thing. Also, it's important to make sure that you're keeping up on your vitamin D levels, because you can get very lethargic and you can actually get very sick just from not getting the sunshine that you need. Because no one wants to go outside and get that sunshine in the winter when it does shine. Because it's freezing and it's cold and there's snow, and some people can't get out. People like my mom, who is elderly and she is handicapped in ways it's hard for her to walk. So she can't go outside. She can sit by a window, but I mean, how long can you sit by a window? So make sure that you keep up all your vitamin D levels. So just making sure I'm harvesting everything I can. Make sure we have a healthy winter, eating on the bounty of this summertime. Again, I'm going to show you all my beautiful amaranth. I love amaranth. It's just the best. You don't even have to try. This stuff just grows like wildfire. And it's highly nutritious, and it's delicious, and it's easy to use. It's the best thing. And then it reseeds itself. I don't even have to worry about it. This year, I planted a couple different varieties, and they're kind of cool. They're a little bit slow going. I got them in a little bit late. That's okay. But I did get a variety that has developed itself on my property that I have not seen before, that I did not plant. And I will be saving seeds for that and sharing it with some people. And it has fiery red leaves. So see these amaranth here? These are the red one. This is the Lotus purple, is what it's called. Lotus purple amaranth, okay? And it has leaves that are green, dark green. It has red veins in the leaves and a red stalk. So let me show you this one. This was the only one that I've ever had that did this. So it's kind of an anomaly. And it's beautiful. Look at this guy. So he's red, and he's got leaves that have fire. Red fire. Isn't that beautiful? So we'll be saving the seeds from her, I'm not sure. Gorgeous variety, and I would plant much more of that. It is just spectacular looking. So I don't know, what are you guys up to in your garden right now, seeing as it's fall come the 22nd of September. It is officially fall. I have already picked up some pumpkins from different places, different varieties that I don't have or haven't seen before, or, you know, I'm out of seeds for, really. Make sure that you're getting your bulbs out of the ground that you need to get out. Some plants the bulbs will not survive the winter. Your gladiolas, your dahlias, things like that, the crowns of those, your cannas, your calla lilies. I bring my calla lily in the house though, but she's getting really big. Well, in the greenhouse, not in the house anymore, the greenhouse. But bring your bulbs in, anything that you can think of that may not survive the winter. Now, as for annuals, you'll surprise yourself on the annuals that you can save. They're expensive to buy every year, the ones that you want to buy, fancy, pretty flowers and things like that. And I'll tell you the ones that did survive for me. I've dug up my begonias. All of my begonias will survive. Dig up the tubers. So you dig up the roots and you have like thick tubers. Take those in. I just put them in a bin all together in some soil, and I throw it on the bottom shelf of one of my shelves in the greenhouse and let her just survive. Keep it just barely moist enough. Don't soak it for sure, or you'll get root rot and they'll all die. I have had success bringing the geraniums in. I have a lot of hanging potted plants. So in them, I always plant food, of course, but I do beautiful arrangements in such a way. So I have strawberries baskets, and I'll put mint with it, and I have herbs, hanging herbs and creeping herbs and things like that. So they all pretty much survive. All my sweet potato vines, don't just chunk them. Don't just give up on them. They will survive, even in that cold area of the greenhouse. They will be just fine and will be prolific come spring. Look at these guys. They grow prolifically, and they will come back, not a problem. I have them in all the big pots around my gazebo, but I do bring all those pots in, and they do well. Lemongrass, surprisingly, will survive through my greenhouse, the winter in the greenhouse, no problem. Ginger and turmeric. I will harvest my ginger and my turmeric, the rhizomes. Hello, how are you? So I'll harvest my ginger and my turmeric and my bulbs like that, the rhizomes, sorry. And then I'll leave some in those pots and bring them into the greenhouse, put them again on the bottom shelf in the dark, and they're quite happy and satisfied to come back come spring when they're ready. Usually late spring, early summer. That's when they start popping, and I'm always like, oh, I killed them this year, but they come back. My bananas, you know, the only ones that survived were the hardy banana, the Musabastu. Surprisingly, because the year before, my bananas did survive. I had some other varieties, but they didn't this last year. Why, I do not know. but again, I lost them. So the Musabastu, again, I'm going to be transplanting some of the pups into different areas to create different stands, and hopefully they have enough time to gain some strength and their taproot so that come spring they will come back. However, I am always cynical about quote-unquote perennials, so I like to bring some in as well just to make sure that I have that stock. And that's that. So I hope that you guys get to work in your garden a little bit today if you're a garden lover. I always have to work in between everybody's schedule, the baby and mom and my guy and everything else going on. So I haven't had nearly as much time as I used to get out here. But I'm trying to work smarter and not harder, and I think that that's working. I do try to save plants too. Yes, save those plants. Like, just try at least. Especially those real pretty. Yeah, which ones do you bring in? Let me know. I know you're close to me, so all my hibiscus have to, well, I shouldn't say that. My tropical hibiscus, they all come in. They are happy. They will come back in the spring. Not a problem. All of them came back the last 2-3 years. So that's all fine and dandy. Other tropicals, I have yuccas. They come in. The bananas come in. The almonds, my sea almonds died, so that's not good. They all died last year. I did buy seeds, but I didn't have time to start them. Mangoes are happy, the avocados are happy, the tamarinds are happy. A lot of the tropical fruit I wouldn't have thought before are quite happy, but things that are very tender, papaya will not live out there. It is not happy. It will just die on me. And the starfruit never lives in the greenhouse. I've tried it. Can't keep it alive. I have some beautiful red tamarillos. Some of them are quite large right now, but I don't think that they'll live in the greenhouse. I have maybe 5 of them, so I'll put 2 or 3 in the greenhouse and hope for the best. But the big 2 are coming in with me into the house. I hate bringing a lot of plants into the house over the winter. As much as I love them, they tend to attract bugs, ants, and things like that. So that's not fun. Yeah. Sweet potato vine, they're happy. The cinnamon vine lived just happy outside. This year I planted Wonderberry. It's the first time I've ever gotten it up. I've tried it a few years in a row. For some reason, maybe just the seeds weren't viable, but this batch of seeds, Wonderberries, first time ever. So aren't they beautiful? They're gorgeous. And they have such a lovely, unique taste. Very interesting superfood. I've had some success bringing... Yes, I bring in my flower boxes. I bring my hanging boxes from the fence as well. A lot of these guys will stay out here. So I've got around my porch, I've got boxes of herbs and beans and things like that. These will get reseeded with hardy things because this will be a non-heated, basically like a cold frame. And see how tall it is. It's a gazebo. So I cover it with poly. These guys come in, and I mean, I can keep things probably alive till maybe December. I have tomatoes and things in there, but they probably won't last. Oh, my pomegranates, they were happy outside as well in the greenhouse. Things that are tender perennials, citronella, lemon verbena. Oh, what else? They're happy out there too. This year I have ashwagandha. I have a number of plants. I'm waiting for them to get a good bloom. Look at all the buds. I'm excited about those. The Dipladenia, they were quite happy in the greenhouse and came back prolifically. In fact, they started blooming in the middle of winter in the greenhouse. So if you have plants that you've spent your money on, oh, fuchsias, they are quite happy. Bring them in. Dig them up if you have the standing ones in the ground, or bring in your hanging baskets. Trim them back, trim those branches back, and just let them, I hang them at the top of my greenhouse, and they'll come back come spring. They came back happily and prolifically and grew, and they had berries, and everybody was happy. So if you have spent money on plants and you don't want to lose that money and you have some space and you have some time, dig them up, put them in bins together. Like, who cares? If they come back, they come back. It's a beautiful thing. So I was able to already have a good stock of my annuals with a really good head start this year, and I could just plunk them into the ground and didn't have to buy a lot of those things that I like to buy every year. Impatiens, some of my hanging baskets survived. They sure did. So you can dig those up as well. The root, make sure you get in the whole roots. Like, don't damage the root system as much as possible. And throw them in some pots or hanging pots or something like that. Just anywhere that they're going to have just enough moisture to stay happy, and just don't overwater them or they will certainly die. So that's that. I'm yakking. Probably because I've finally had a coffee. Here is the sunrise. We got it. Sunrise. Sunrise Niagara. There you go, guys. Beautiful. So thanks for sharing my morning with me, a little bit of it. I hope you're getting outside, and I hope it's a nice day. It looks like it's going to warm up quite a bit, but it sure was cool this morning. It sure was cool in the evening. It said got down to 57 and felt like 55, and that's getting there. So got to giddy up. It's go time for fall. That all being said, the JAHealing Gardening and Self-Sufficiency workshop series is starting October 2nd. There are 5 Saturdays in October, and all of them are going to be our gardening and self-sufficiency workshops. 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time or 1 p.m. my time, Eastern Daylight Time. So pre-register with JAHealing.com or go onto their social media pages, their Facebook or Instagram, and contact them. They can get you hooked up with any one or all of those workshops in a consecutive series. I know that they usually give discounts when you do all 5 or all of them from that month. So ask them about that if you want to sign up for all 5. And we're going to be talking about, obviously, gardening and self-sufficiency, growing your own food. It's the winter gardening series, so it's fall and winter, right? I'm going to show you that you can still grow things in the fall and the winter. I am in a hardiness zone 6. You guys are probably that or warmer. And if you're somewhere warmer, you have a better chance of growing food than I do. So I'm going to show you that it's possible, and show you the things that have to be done in such a manner so that you do have food. You need to know what to grow, when to grow, and how to grow it. And I'm going to show you that. We're going to talk about permaculture. We're going to talk about growing food. And if you have questions about homesteading, urban homesteading, I'm in the suburbs. I am not on a piece of farmland. Chickens, greenhouse situation, or if you just have questions as to if this is a viable lifestyle for you and your family. Things are getting strange out there in our world. We've had a very, very strange year and a half, and I'm not sure when that's ever going to stop. So being less reliant upon the system is a great thing. Being more self-sufficient, more self-reliant, more self-sustenant. Come talk to us. If you have questions, you can talk right directly to me. It's not me talking at you. You guide a lot of what I talk about in the day. I do have a set plan of what I want to discuss with you and share with you and teach you, but you will get your questions answered if you have questions. Bring your questions, bring your dilemmas, show me your garden. Come join us. JAHealing, the Gardening and Self-Sufficiency series. I just got the schedule this morning, and it's going to be all 5 Saturdays of October. Come join us, okay? Be a champion in your kitchen or your homestead, wherever you are today.